Buckle up, bucklers, and strap in tight. This is Adrian Brown back again with Season 2, Episode 1 of As the Buckle Turns on all your favorite podcasting directories: Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, YouTube, Castbox, TuneIn, and still limited episodes on Soundcloud and Podbean. How's everybody doing out there? I know it's been a minute since I left, and I've come back about 3 months later, but breaks are needed sometimes, and I'll let you guys in on what's been going on in my life. But I want to say thank you and appreciate everybody for all your support through all the uploads in Season 1. And I think an off season was necessary for me in this situation, because I was going through a lot of things trying to graduate from the school at Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and my family and I, we ended up moving to a different city. Like I said, I'm gonna get into all that stuff along the way in this episode right here. It was always a pleasure though to see the numbers still growing and downloads still moving and listens still moving while I was on hiatus here. And I know I've left you guys before, but you know I always come back. Honestly, it is such a pleasure to see shows grow like this. The amount of appreciation I have for my fan base and for my followers, I mean, I still was tweeting a lot and things like that. I really didn't have time, because a lot of stuff has happened in wrestling the last 3 months since I did the Double or Nothing review as my last episode in Season 1, and I'm not going to comment on a lot of that stuff in this. This episode here will really just be a best of show or a review show for me. I decided to go back and do some self-introspection on Season 1. And my progress, my highs, my lows, looking at the higher numbers on certain episodes, the lower ones on others, some feedback I got on some things. And honestly, too, I guess my podcast has found its way to people who appreciate what I do, because I haven't gotten a ton of negative feedback, except that those couple times that one of my listeners shared it on Reddit. For the most part, I mean, well, of course, the typical trolls. I haven't received a lot of negativity. I know the show could be better. You know, eventually I'm going to need like a co-host or special guest interviews or things like that, or maybe even just more consistent uploads or multiple uploads a week if I really want this to grow. From what I've seen, just in what I've accomplished so far, I'm proud of myself, but I know I can be better. And I know that you guys want to help me grow and want to see me grow in this as well, because the people that this podcast is for, I don't think they're too picky. They're not over the top crazy about following one guy's opinion all the time or constantly having an echo chamber of just the same type of voices. I know people who listen to me probably still listen to other people that may or may not agree with me. And like I always say, that's cool. You know, I go back and I think about the purpose of me starting this, and really and truly, like I said, initially, it was just going to be something that I was going to do just to get the lab hours I needed to graduate and get my certificate so I can finish school. When you're a big wrestling fan like me, when you start talking about it, I realized that I had a lot of stuff I needed to get off my chest about how I felt about the business and things like that. And then all these topics started coming up. And I'm just like, these are things I talked about in other forums with people that are kind of like-minded, just like me. And I'm just like, I had a lot of stuff to talk about. And now I have the forum and the platform to get it out there and see if other people agree with me on these topics. And they did. And then that's how I decided to keep it the way I did, rather than just do review shows and just do it the lazy way. But if you look at the numbers on any type of streaming service or anything like that, people love reviews. If you're going to do any type of content creation, if you want to call it that, about wrestling, you're going to have to review shows occasionally. Only did it a few times, and a lot of times that's where the YouTube numbers went up the most when I did reviews. The topical stuff on all the other platforms went up more when I stuck to what I do, because I offered something different. And that was always the thing for me. I didn't want to just be like everybody else out there. I wanted to be the alternative to the norm of wrestling commentary. Not too review heavy, like I said, and keep it topical. My progression when I was still in school, learning different techniques about audio and video and becoming more comfortable on the microphone, I can tell a slow progression when I listen to all the episodes. I mean, I really hope you guys could see it too when y'all were listening to the show, because I listened to myself, how timid I was when I came in on the intro, how soft-spoken I was to a point. My voice still technically sounded the same, but I was not confident. going into episode 1. I really wasn't. And just listen to the opening right here and you'll see what I'm saying. I'm a student. Yeah, I decided to go to broadcasting school. And here I am in a studio about to record a podcast on my own for the first time about something that's really important in my life, something that I've followed for a long time. I've watched it for so long that I can't even remember not watching it. Maybe there was one time I took a small break from it. Well, I can't remember if it was intentional or not, but I did. I'm talking about pro wrestling. And pro wrestling's been a part of my life. So yeah, I mean, and then you listen to, how definitive I was about my review of Double or Nothing in the final episode of season 1. Yeah, it's like night and day. I came a long way. The only thing I had to think about, too, was how this was going to distinguish itself from other podcasts, because you didn't want to just be insert wrestling podcast number 105103 or something like that. But the one thing, I had to stick to my guns. And the one thing that always pervaded my wrestling commentary, even outside just me talking about it, just watching the show, and I had to keep true to my disassociation with the smart mark mentality that pervades wrestling these days, thanks to the dirt sheet culture and the what culture, cage side seats and PW Insider, Pro Wrestling Torch type things that pervade the business right now. That whole collective mindset, y'all remember that episode, the whole collective that's decided to move the needle and move the narrative a certain way about this business, it kind of disheartened me to a point where I'm just like, I gotta say something. I'm like, it ain't gonna be enough of me just typing it on a tweet or writing a note on Facebook or linking something when Google Plus was still in existence, linking it on there, or typing a 10-page story on Instagram. I'm like, I got a voice, I need to use it. That's something that going to broadcasting school allowed me to do. It allowed me to get my thoughts out of my head, and they taught me how to write. They taught me how to dictate. I mean, I'm pretty articulate to a point anyway, and people tell me I have a decent sounding voice, so I'm just like, if I say something, people will listen. Maybe not just people who agree with me, maybe some people who disagree with how I think, maybe I can somewhat make them understand how my side of thing, the traditionalist fan, thinks about things. The people like me who care about ratings, people like me who want more people watching. We don't want less people watching. We don't really care if the athleticism is better. We want everybody to enjoy it. We want all types of people in this. We don't want to diss other people who may not agree with the style that we like. We think they have a place too. And that's why I just decided to do it this way. It's so easy to just turn on this mic, put on your headphones, turn on, Anchor or Spreaker, or as I do, Adobe Audition. Just record like, okay, this happened in this match. Okay, this was the finish to this match. This segment happened. I mean, that's easy. But I got to remember the attention span of people today is so minimal. Listen to somebody like me, even as wise as I may sound, because that's one of the things one of my teachers pointed out to me. It could come to a point where somebody could tune you out. If I'm burning on a topic that's not necessarily burned on other shows that people listen to, I think of it that way. And the people that it's for will find it. And the people that it's not for, maybe they'll at least attempt to listen to it and maybe pass it on to somebody who may agree with it more. That's how I felt about starting the show. Like I say, it was just a project initially, but it became something I wanted to do and something I want to keep doing no matter how sporadic the uploads may get. So what I'm going to do here is give out some episode superlatives. These are just my personal ones. You all may have different ones that you may think, and that's the case. I want to know, I really want some feedback on this. I want to know, what is your favorite episode? What is your least favorite episode? What was your favorite topic? I don't know, what was your favorite soundbite? What was something I said that you may not have agreed with 100%? Maybe there was something that you agreed with 100%, anything. I really want to know, because I really want to do some real reflection on season 1 at the beginning of season 2 here. I mean, I think that's the best way to start things off. I got to give credit to Josiah Williams for this, and I am super happy for that kid for working at NXT. Dude's on WWE Network all the time now, interviewing people backstage, and all he was doing was just rapping or remixing WWE, and not just WWE, but wrestling superstars theme songs. The kid's super talented, worship leader and everything. Super talented kid. He did a retrospect of like his first 15 uploads of his Wrestle and Flow series. So that inspired me to do this. Props to Josiah for doing that. And again, congrats, bud. You're living the dream. You kind of give an old guy like me hope that maybe one day I can do something in the business eventually. I don't care if I'm the manager or mouthpiece of somebody, talking crap like Paul Heyman. I mean, trust me, I've been cutting promos in the mirror since I was a kid. I could do it, trust me. I'm going to start out right here. Best put together episode. I'm going to go with episode 5, Punked. The episode about Brock Lesnar and Phil Brooks that I made the comparison about them, their juxtaposition between their MMA careers and their professional wrestling careers. That episode there, I don't understand how I actually pulled that off, but it got a pretty good response. I got a few DMs about that too. That really surprised me, but I like, when I go back and listen to it, I like the way it flowed. I like the way it went from Brock and Phil's careers and how it juxtaposed when Brock went to MMA. He was a little bit more successful. How I dissected how I believe Phil wasn't necessarily deemed the most athletic guy, but he got the most out of what he did, as opposed to Brock, as he was naturally gifted, and how he made an easy transition. I didn't even plan it out to say it, but the part about, I think I'll play that clip for you right here, the part about where I talk about how wrestlers used to be deemed as being tough. You get to listen to it right here. Like I said, he shattered everything that I believed about a pro wrestler being tough and being able to hold his own. Okay, he did survive all 3 rounds in his last fight, but he looked horrible doing it. He gave nothing back to the guy. He took all the shots and gave absolutely nothing. I look at that. It was so hard for me. I'm just like, I'm watching all these other guys I grew up watching, these tough guys, guys like Vader and people like that. I'm just like, who probably at minimum in the old school UFC probably would at least gave you something when that cage closed. But this guy, this average Joe, this king of vanilla, this guy who only just became a wrestler because he loved it, and then, never really had any legit training until he was like later in the game. And I can honestly say that the guy probably got as much out of himself as he was physically able to, but you can tell the guy was such a try-hard that it didn't really translate. Yeah, I mean, for a while, wrestlers were like superheroes when I was a kid. And that was the whole point, because wrestling is like a fantasy world. That's what comics are. They're fantasy. You know what I mean? And today, I just see guys that just look like, again, regular dudes. They look like they're still the children of the guys that I grew up watching. And they don't really, like I said, they're trained, they're physical. Like I said, a lot of them probably legit kick my butt, but if you watch them on screen, nobody would believe that. And like I said, there has to be a level of believability by suspending my disbelief. If you look like the dude next door, I'm going to believe I can kick your butt, even if you can kick mine. Phil just shattered everything I believed about that. But his ability to run his mouth, I mean, his gift of cutting a decent promo, it allowed him to stay on top as long as he did. Even I can admit that. And I even like the way I closed the episode with the quote at the end. That's how I ended up coming up with the name of the episode, because I was always taught by my podcasting teacher to name your episode. Make sure you give it a name, not just the name of the show, not just episode whatever. So that's how I came up with the name of the show, with the little clip right here at the end of it. Sometimes it does take a natural acumen for certain things, and true combat, as you can see now after watching that's one of them as well. I'm sorry, Phil, but it's over. And in the end, I guess we all got punked. Okay, next one. Episode that could have been better. So yeah, I'm going to be critical of myself. I usually am anyway. But the episode I think could have been better was episode 7, The Fringes. And the main reason I say that is because this is the episode, if you remember, where I lay out what I deem as the wrestling bubble. But the one thing I forgot to do, okay, I laid it out like that for a reason. If you remember, if you draw a bubble, basically you draw a circle. I put the hardcores on top. I put the casual fans on the bottom. I put the smarts, the smart marks on the left. And I put the anti-smarts on the right. Now, here's the thing. What I was supposed to do with that in my head when I was laying that out in my head for the episode, what I was supposed to go into in that episode was the quadrants Now, if you draw that, it looks like an XY plane on your, your coordinates when you're, those little graphs you were plotting back in school when you were solving for slope. Not to traumatize anybody about old school mathematics or algebra, but you know what I mean. Now, what I was supposed to do was take those quadrants and explain how not everybody necessarily falls completely on each line completely, because there are hardcore fans who have a more smart mark mentality. But there are hardcore fans who are not necessarily on that smart mark scale. My intention was for each of those quadrants was to explain where maybe some of the more popular people would fall into, where I would fall into. And that part right there, it eats me up that I didn't include that, because it easy if you could just go to the YWC and IWC, and it doesn't matter. Dave Meltzer, the Smart Busters, the Lixmen, all those guys. You can find somewhere in each of those quadrants where they would fit. Honestly, like I said, if I had cleaned that episode up a little bit more and went to in depth on that a little bit more, I think that would have been better. Like I said, I will kick myself for probably as long as this podcast is in existence about not doing that. Most fun episode to do, episode 23.2, Generation. Boy, did I get a lot of good feedback on this one. This one's very popular, but I had a lot of fun doing that because I tried something new. Yeah, this is the first time I actually played actual other audio during the show, and I made it a running theme. And most of you remember this was the promo, The Road to Double or Nothing, where Cody is talking about his match coming up with Dustin. I don't know, it's just I thought about it, and I think I pulled the concept off pretty well. And it seemed more organic when I did it that way. And it was just one straight take. I didn't really rehearse it or anything. It's because I wanted to react in the moment, even though I had listened to the promo twice. But I wanted to get into the feeling of that episode a little bit more by reacting to the clips as I heard them come along. The concept of the Bible verse at the beginning, I don't know, it just came to me that came to me after I recorded the entire episode. Before I started putting it into post-production and started to put the music in it and everything, clipping out everything I had to. I decided to do that after the fact. One of my Facebook friends actually said I sound like a preacher, which is the odd thing about that was my podcasting teacher, the first time he had actually heard me in our first class, he actually said I sounded like a preacher. So, I don't know, I guess that's just something maybe I should investigate one day. You never know. My favorite part about that episode, though, was probably when I finally brought it home and I just started letting it all fly. I'm gonna just play a little clip of that right here for you. Stop trying to kill yourselves on the night in and night out basis, because honestly, as soon as you get injured, these people are gonna move on. This is awesome crowd, this moveset over character crowd, these I'm gonna give you 5 stars for all these dives you do, that bunch, they will move on in a hurry from you because they really don't care. They're as fickle as a bunch of people as Daniel Bryan says they are. Period. And it's going to take some sort of catastrophic injury for one of you guys to understand that. And you're going to appreciate one day what your brother did, what The Rock did, what Steve Austin did, what Hulk Hogan turning heel did, what Hall and Nash moving from WWF to WCW did. I mean, what you think is going to happen in AEW, man? What, you're going to think that you're going to make some sort of moment where Dean Ambrose walks out onto the field in Jacksonville or something like that? You think that's going to be your Lex Luger walking into that mall moment? It's not going to happen, man. You guys don't have that. Okay? You can sit there and say that this isn't going to be about the WWE, but if it's not, you wouldn't be talking about killing the Attitude Era. You wouldn't be putting down The Rock. You wouldn't be putting down Triple H. Okay, you wouldn't be putting down bra and panties matches. This is always going to be about Vince. This is always going to be about the WWE. This is always going to be about the fact that you will always, your generation and every generation after will always be compared to the generations before you because you can't measure up. Period. The tape measures you guys have can't even reach that far. So please release the lock, put it back on your hip, put those bullets back in the chamber and holster your pistol. Because you ain't killing off the past anytime soon, my brother. Hardest episode to record. This one's a no-brainer because I even said it in the show. Episode 10, Devolution. I mean, seriously, I laid that on my sleeve. I mean, I listened to that, and it's just like, I sat there, I was so uncomfortable because, as you know, this whole entire world is sensitive, especially when it comes to women now, which I don't have a problem with because, okay, this is the opening clip from the episode right here. Take a listen to this, and you'll understand probably why I had to do this initially. So, here's where I am with this right here. Well, I'm going to get into today. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. I'm a godfather. I have a mother. I have 2 sisters. I have 3 nieces. I have 2 goddaughters. I'm by no means some over-the-top male feminist. But I also in no way subscribe to this new age toxic masculinity. And I probably should apologize to my wife because I did not mention that I was a husband in that, but you guys know that. So, honey, if you happen to listen to this, my bad. Because I know, because honestly, speaking of my wife, I actually went over what I was thinking about doing for that episode with her, and she was actually worried about it because she didn't want me to come off as some sort of chauvinist or something like that, but she knows I love women. She knows the type of person that I am. But I think it was, in her case, she was probably just like, yeah, she knows that, but the rest of the world may not know that when they hear it. And especially the way women's wrestling is uplifted the way it is right now, no matter how much these girls are hurting themselves for unnecessary reasons right now, which is stuff I go over in the show. And I don't know, it's like, I want these women to have long careers and retire early like most of them do. And these women are already killing themselves. And like I said, that was my whole point of that episode. But I think the undertone of me not wanting to really piss people off really, really hurt me a lot. I mean, I felt so tight. I felt so nervous. I think I sweated a couple times during that episode. And it was brutal. And like I said, my tone was just... I mean, trust me, if you listen to the episode, you know that's not usually how I go. You know that. And I think a lot of you probably felt my pain, even if you did agree with some of the things I was saying. Even if you didn't, I'm pretty sure you know it wasn't easy for me to do that. Definitely the hardest episode, and I don't think I should go on about that one anymore. Underrated episode. Oh, yeah. This one right here, I just don't understand. This episode here has low listens and low downloads. But I think, for me, that was the one I think I really started hitting my stride. I think I really started hitting my voice. It was episode 4, Shackles. The one about the Austin Aries tweet when he talked about Neville, a.k.a. Pac, now. Hopefully, because WWE, when you get released, you put you in a no-compete clause. You can't compete anywhere else for 6 to 8 months, whatever was the duration of your contract was. When you finally get released, or you ask for your release or whatever. And he made some sort of comment about, we can do it again with the shackles off after you've done serving your time or something like that. And I don't know, for some reason, I managed to make a whole episode off a tweet. I thought that was impressive on me. And the way I laid it out when it came to the safe work, the quote unquote safe or soft style that the WWE, those shackles allowed people to have longer, more fulfilling careers, and you don't have to work as hard for that, I guess, bingo hall money, as a lot of the naysayers, detractors about independent wrestling like to say. But I think I laid it out better when I made the comments about paying for your own flights, and you can book all those extra shows and things like that. You can technically be making more money. But a lot of times, like I said, you're probably making more money because you used to be in the WWE. You can market yourself off the fact that you used to be there, and those shackles allowed you to do that. But I'm not sure I don't know if a lot of people did not get the reference or whatever, but I don't know. I really think that episode right there probably should have a few more listens than it does. But, you don't really know what pleases people. The same thing as a creator that may please you may not be necessarily so pleasing to the ears of others. And that's just something that comes with the territory as a podcaster or any type of content creation. I don't care, even if you're just an Instagram model posting pictures. Not everything's going to get 5,000 likes. Something might actually get 500. All you can do is put it out there and hope it succeeds. Again, these are just my personal opinions. I don't know. What do you think is the most underrated episode? But I guess you guys might have to actually know the numbers to do that. But I don't know. Just like I said, keep giving me feedback. Just let me know when you listen to this episode. And last but not least, I'll just give out this one. Most popular episode. I think you all know what that one was. Episode 13. Lucky number 13. Off the script. AKA Ether. And again, I'm not gonna mention said person's name. Y'all heard me in that episode. Totally different tone than what I usually do. Totally out of my character. But honestly, I really didn't care. I didn't care at that point. I still don't really care now, really. Because that right there was super necessary for me. Not just as a podcast or content creator. That was necessarily for me as a man, for me to do that episode. Because seriously, you can't have, as a man, somebody constantly attacking you and slandering your name and expect, they can't expect you not to fire back. I didn't do that to him. Okay, I said I disagree. I did not try to attack him as a person. I disagree with what he does. I disagree with his opportunism and what he does. To make money. I mean, he's no different than any type of politician. Like I said, I didn't attack him as a person before all that happened, and I went there in the episode. Yeah, the personal attacks happened, but you know what? There's only but so much certain people can take, and I'm one of those people too. I'm a fairly mild-mannered person, but don't come at me sideways, bro. You can't do that. And I'll be honest with you, I stewed on recording the episode probably for about 2 weeks. And the song I chose that song for a reason. And because I grew up in the 90s with a lot of diss tracks going back and forth, LL Cool J and Ice Cube and, Common and Ice Cube and LL Cool J and Cannabis. I trust me, I went through a lot of rap battles and things like that growing up listening to hip hop. The only thing I could really do to get myself in the mood to actually finally record the episode was to find one of the better diss tracks I can think of. It was musical enough for me to actually do this through the episode, and I chose Ether by Nas because of that. And I listened to that song probably every day for 2 straight weeks before I recorded the episode, because it was necessary for me to do so. It's just, I had to get myself in the mood. I had to take myself there. It was really that serious for me. I don't know if me getting out of my character pleased you guys too much, but the numbers said so. And people love reviews, but people also like conflict. I even said that in the follow-up episode as well. Like I said, I'd had enough, and I chose Ether for a reason. And this is one of the better diss tracks ever. Nas totally annihilates Jay-Z in that song, completely. And Jay-Z's response to that song was absolutely terrible. And I never expected him to respond to that. I don't think he ever has. I don't even think it made it to him. I don't really care. That was just for me. It's probably the only self-serving episode that I had in all of season 1. Like I said, again, it was necessary. It was 100% shoot. I didn't write down any notes for that. Class was over. I walked into the podcasting studio at school. I turned the lights off. I closed the blinds. I turned the mic on. I just went at it. And I didn't think it was going to go that long, but it did. It was a long time coming, man. Honestly, like I said, my favorite clip from that, and I'm trying not to, I don't really want to play any clips from that really, but there's one thing I really wanted to say from that. The one part where I made the comment about his job. Well, his job is podcasting on YouTube. I don't know for how long, considering how the algorithms are changing and stuff these days. I feel for people who only make money off YouTube now. But my one thing that I want to point out that I did in that episode, I made a comment about his job, not necessarily, as much as he thinks he can write the show better, the fact that his job as a commentator at House of Glory pretty much only lets him sit on the mic. If that were the case, they'd put him behind the curtain, correct? Not saying he couldn't do both. Like I said, I don't know if he does, but I seriously doubt he does. So let me play this clip right here for you from that episode real quick. The WWE don't care how many followers you got on Twitter. They don't care how many subscribers you got on YouTube. Can you do the work? And speaking of doing the work, if you claim you could write the show so much better, you actually are a commentator now at this at that little Fed in that little warehouse or wherever the heck it is up in New York. I don't give a dang. I don't give a dang if little Amazing Red or whatever the heck his name is heard me say that. I don't care. But why does that pathetic little indie Fed not help make you write the show? You say WWE knows who you are, and they know, like I said, obviously your own job doesn't even know who you are if they won't even let you get from behind the desk and write the show. Okay, you claim you can do big TV so well. You prove it to me. Prove it to everybody by writing a show that ain't even on TV. Put that on your resume. But obviously, Amazing Red knows better because maybe you pitched him something and he's like, your ideas suck. Yeah, and I seriously doubt they'll ever do that. But yeah, definitely, episode 13 still is getting downloads and listens right now across all platforms. It is easily the most listened to. Well, if you count all the random trolling clicks on YouTube when it came, I think it was It's Your Turn. I think that right there is the one that has the most listens overall, thanks to that troll that kept commenting on YouTube. But organically, episode 13 is the most consistent, most popular episode that I uploaded. I didn't expect it, but hey, I mean, like I said, it reached double-digit downloads in 3 days. I didn't think I thought it would probably stop about there, but when it kept going and going, I'm just like, I don't know who y'all sharing this with, but I appreciate it. Every single time I see a download of that episode, I'm just like, here we go again. I'm like, is this when it finally gets out to him? I'm like, I don't know. But of all things, my most self-serving episode ended up being the one that everybody likes the most and still does. Couple of quick things right here. I'm going to do a few of my favorite audio clips right here. These are just some things that really, I don't know if they really popped me or I just felt like I really nailed these pretty well. Clip number 1 right here. This is my take on Matt Riddle, who pretty much eventually ended up in the news a lot, wrestling news, I should say, a lot after I'd made this comment, and especially this year. This is the clip from my appearance on Foul Original's show, talking about how I'm not the biggest Matt Riddle mark.
Okay, no, you're right, and this is something that I was going to bring up, and I'm going to take it to Adrian. What? Yeah, do you like watching? Are you impressed by Matt Riddle, and do you think that he is being held down to start with? Do you think he should have got the AJ treatment straight in?
All right, here we go.
Oh, go for it.
Matt Riddle is good, but Matt Riddle has never impressed me. I'm sorry, it's just like when I see him out there with the bare feet and the long hairs in the trunk, it's just like I will always see him as an MMA guy moonlighting as a wrestler. And that's, like I say, honestly, that's just how I feel about it. Like I said,
that's fine.
I'm not saying he's bad, but he just does not impress me. Honestly, I'm like, if they turn him into some sort of little Tarzan gimmick or something like that, I could buy into it. But this whole moonlighting as a wrestler thing, like, I watched his whole MMA career. He got some fight bonuses in the UFC. He was a decent fighter. But at the same time, I don't think he's being misused. It's just like, I don't, he is what he is right now. And it's just like, I understand some people think he should be positioned better, but at the same time, you can look like a monster on the independent circuit all you want to. But when you get to those big cameras, it's easy to see how small, I'm not talking about physical, but your performance actually is. I'm just like, I understand he's probably capable of more, but at the same time, let's see, how do I put this? I don't think the guy is bad. Like, I think he's fine where he is. He's got a lot more he probably still needs to learn as far as like learning actual performing for television wise. You see, a lot of people think he probably needs to be pushed further because he has this built-in fan base. But that you can probably say that about a lot of the guys who get signed around the same time as he had. You could say that about Keith Lee. You could say that about Mia Yim. You could say that about almost about anybody. But just because you have that built in doesn't mean you should be pushed to the main route. AJ was different. Okay, everybody knows AJ. There's nothing about wrestling AJ needs to learn ever. So putting him in NXT would have been a waste.
But I'm sure that there's people out there who are not AJ fans or feel the same way about AJ that you feel about Riddle.
You're kidding,
I
right?
think.
Okay,
I
no,
think.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, seriously. I mean, what he did at TNA, what he did in PWG and ROH and NJPW. I mean, really, you think anybody would think that about AJ?
Us?
Go for it. Go
No.
for it.
Think about it.
Like people like us who follow wrestling religiously, no. But I think there are WWE fans who were exposed to him and probably still feel there's probably a minority that do still feel that way. I wouldn't be surprised because everyone has an opinion and not all of them are the same. And I think there is probably a minority out there that is, they may think that AJ can do everything in the ring, but he doesn't do anything for them. But I'm not saying people like us.
And since that clip, this guy right here has attempted to call out 50-year-old men to a fight to stay relevant or anything like that and coast off their names. I mean, really, dude, make some Goldberg money and do some Goldberg numbers before you start talking about Goldberg. Sell out stadiums in wrestling and rock and roll like Jericho before you mention his name. Be as crisp in the ring and as solid in the ring as a boring guy like Lance Storm before you start running your mouth, dog. I mean, for real. Clip number 2 here, episode 6. This is one I'm proud of, too. This is one about breaking up teams concept when it compares to how a lot of the hardcore fans like talking about just taking belts off of people. This is what I was talking about, breaking up teams and just putting the star players on lower level teams. I really like this one. Or even an aspect like this. What if the NBA started listening to his fans and they were like, we're tired of the Warriors winning. And Adam Silver was just like, okay, we're going to break the Warriors up and we're going to send half those players over to, say, the Orlando Magic. How fair is that? I mean, would that make any sense? Just because, the Orlando Magic are a young, athletic, team. So it's like, okay, these guys here, they deserve a shot. Could you imagine what these people would say if something like that were to happen? I mean, you all of a sudden, you just like take Tom Brady off the Patriots and just, I don't know, put him on. What's a really bad NFL team right now? I mean, just put him on a team in his division. Just put him on the Jets. I don't know, maybe let's give the Jets Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and let's just build up the Jets. They've needed something for a while and things like that. Can you imagine if that were the case? Just because the fans would be tired of a certain team winning a lot. I mean, I just couldn't even imagine something like that happen. Like I said, but that'd be what you would be thinking about if this were real. And if you wanted to book this and book professional sports, like these fans think about professional wrestling when they want to compare wrestling a lot of times to their favorite sport or to their favorite team. Yeah, could you imagine how ridiculous any of that would be? And honestly, I think that was the very first one I think one of my listeners shared to Reddit. The one positive thing Reddit said was that was actually a good analogy. I probably should run with that as a separate show or something like that, or expand on that more in later episodes, or I can make that a running thread. You never know. Clip number 3 here. This is when I was talking about hoping Shane Strickland would end up exactly where he is right now in NXT. I was actually proud of myself for this one. Like I said, I'm a big fan of that guy. The other part was Shane Strickland was the champion of Evolve. And I say was because Fabian Eichner of NXT beat him for the Evolve title. And for those of you who probably wondering where that's going, I'm like, he's left Lucha Underground, which means he's free to be off TV. He's free to be on WWE television now because he's not appearing anywhere else. But from the looks of things, and now we're talking about Cassius Ohno, who most of you know as Chris Hero or something like that from his indie days and things like that. Now it seems like he's going to be wrestling Shane Strickland. I'm just like, is this leading to what I'm thinking of? Because Shane Strickland to me is one of the top non-talents signed to WWE in the world, I believe, as well. I mean, every single time, like I said, I wasn't familiar with him completely, but when I looked him up as the Killshot character and somebody told me what his real name was, I'm just like, I started looking up his work. I'm like, this dude's incredible. And the more he wrestled as Killshot in season 2 of Lucha Underground, he would steal the show almost every single time he wrestled, but he stayed in character, which is hard to do in this world these days because everybody wants to get themselves over and pop the crowd. He understood what his character was. He even said on his Twitter account he co-wrote like some of the angle for his character, which means he's got other talents as well. And that's impressive to me. So if this Evolve partnership is going where I think it is, you might be seeing him on NXT soon. And that's one of the first times if he ends up being signed there, if he ends up going to Florida, I might actually start watching NXT again. Like I said, I'm big on putting African American talent over, and it ain't even just because he's black. The dude's incredible to me. I mean, he speaks well. He's got this lean, strong physique and everything. And like I said, he seems to know what the heck he's doing when it comes to writing stuff. So I'm gonna give him props. I hope that's where it leads, but we'll see what happens. Because in the process, the prospect of that kind of excites me. And he's made big moves since he's been there. I mean, he was in the Breakout Star Tournament, lost in the first round, but he was already facing the Cruiserweight champ on 205 Live and things like that. The guy was already, I knew that would happen to him. He would automatically just be where he is right now because he really doesn't need too much PC. He probably just needs to work on his body a little bit more because he's already got the work that these fans like to see. He's already got the attitude and the presence that the higher ups in WWE like already. So he blends things already. The dude is going to be on Raw and SmackDown before you know it. I mean, trust me, he's not long for NXT. He'll be one of the few that'll get there a lot quicker. This will be a double clip right here of two separate things, and most of you know about it after I didn't get a chance to cover WrestleMania and after Kofi had won the title and everything. I had planned to do a bunch of shows that weekend about all the shows from that weekend, G1 Supercard, NXT, all that stuff, but I never got a chance to do it. But honestly, it was I predicted a while back that I wanted Kofi in the Money in the Bank match about last year or something like that, and how I wanted him to win it and how he'd been a good soldier, and basically almost verbatim the story played out like I thought it was. So I'm gonna give you my original quote on that, and then I'm going to give you my clip from Kofi Mania, episode 22, about how I felt about the culmination of all of it coming up. So this will be a good, decent little listen right here. So just bear with it to the end. I'm looking at this. I want Kofi to be in the match. I want Kofi to win it. I just think it's long overdue for that guy to get a big time championship. He's people love talking about you deserve it and paid your dues and stuff like that. Who's paid their dues and been a good soldier more than Kofi? Really, think about that. I can't think of anybody else on the roster right now that hasn't had it. I mean, even The Miz got his run. But honestly, the run he's getting now, where he's at now, The Miz he's probably having a run now that he probably should have gotten when they put the belt on him in the first place after he cashed in on Randy Orton. And it would probably be more impactful if he actually had it now. But if I would have picked somebody, I'm pretty sure New Day's probably going to pick Big E, but it's a ladder match. Pick Kofi and you'll let him win it. But go all the way with it, like I said. I mean, it'll be total top. Let the New Day come out there when they're singing "America the Beautiful" or singing the national anthem beforehand. Have the people get it on camera that they're coming out on stage and kneeling. Imagine the reaction that'll get. That will get mainstream attention. Okay, have them dudes come out there. Heck, the next New Day outfit, have it be a bunch of Kaepernick jerseys. Huh? Can you hear that? You already see the wheels turning. Okay, have Xavier Woods, who has a big platform now, up, down, down. Have him invite Kaepernick on the show to play games with him. Okay, I'm not saying invite Kaepernick to WrestleMania or something like that. Heck no, I ain't going that far. But hey, if it gets to that point, so be it. Do you know the headlines you'll get with that? And then you will force, then the storyline will force Vince into a corner. It'll get mainstream attention. Heck, the president might even tweet about it. And you know when that guy tweets something, people listen now. And it will get so much mainstream attention. Your show will finally start getting extra eyeballs on it that you never even intended to, and they'll be there. And then you can start doing your irreverent crap all over again. And then they'll finally get into, there'll be something that everybody will be talking about. You want something topical, you want something mainstream, you want something that's going to make some noise. Okay? The new deal, the new Green Deal, Daniel Bryan stuff, he's talking about baby boomers. Frickin' CNN, I think, even talked about that. You see how that works? Keep it modern. Keep it truthful. Keep it real. Okay? This is about Vince screwing black people over. What better way to do it than that? Go all the way with this. Bring it all in there. I want it all. We want all the smoke when it comes to Kofi Mania. And I don't want a WrestleMania 19 situation. It is so funny that Daniel Bryan, it will have to play the role of Triple H. The one guy he had to surpass to get to where he wanted to be. Now he's that guy. Now he's the authority. Bring it full circle, but this time, put Kofi over. He doesn't even have to hold the title for a year or something like that. And I'm not even going to say he deserves it. But in the way we're describing this, with the manner in which everybody's going about this, okay, you know what those are. Address them. Embrace them. Dive in, man. Vince, you can do this. Or will your conservative balls not allow you to? One of the better things after Kofi finally won the title at WrestleMania was actually seeing on social media, if just going around the world, watching the reactions of black wrestlers. That right there was one of the more poignant things to me about that whole weekend. I mean, seeing everybody, MVP, Shad and JTG, Bianca and Montez Ford, Mark Henry, Shelton Benjamin, everybody. I mean, even the tweets and everything. Just, I don't think everybody really truly understood what that truly meant to us as black wrestling fans. To finally know that the title that Buddy Rogers held, okay, the big title from the WWF, the WWF, the WWE, that title. We understand that The Rock had it initially, but Kofi's born in Africa. Kofi's 100% black man. And the fact that Vince McMahon only had the guts to put that belt on a guy who was half Samoan, because, like I said, y'all know how I feel about that family. Y'all know how I feel about the Samoan dynasty, the Anoa'i clan. That family means a lot to that company, and I understand. Rock's their go-to boy. He's still their headpiece. But a lot of people still forget he's black anyway because his father isn't necessarily as popular as his grandfather's side of the family. The fact that finally a black man, a fully black man, finally got Vince to give him that title meant a lot to a lot of people. Okay, as much of a prop as it may be, as much scripted and everything as it may be, sometimes there are certain things that make it just a little bit more real. And Kofi Mania and Kofi winning that title was one of them. And he's been a decent champion too. Some people think the jury is still out on that. I'm going to say he was a good champion. Better than AJ Styles. I'll stand by that. But again, that's just opinion. That's season 1 recap, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed doing that. And I'm going to keep doing this for all you guys. And I really do continue to appreciate everybody tuning. Like I said, let me know what your favorite episodes are. Let me know what you would give an award to or things like that. And this is something I really want to do. I'm going to tweet it out, Instagram it, put it on the Facebook page and everything. I really want to get some feedback. If you do follow it on the Facebook page, just comment there. If you follow me on Twitter, send me a DM or something like that. Or heck, tweet it to me when this episode posts. Make a comment underneath it. I may put up a poll. We'll see. I'm not sure exactly what the 4 options would be. I wish Twitter gave you more options. But again, welcome into season 2, everybody. This is only the beginning. So let's start getting back with some consistent uploads. I'm ready to do this a little bit more. Because honestly, like I said, just to let you in on my life a little bit real quick here before we get out of here. I'm actually able to work from home now, which is something a lot of you-know-who's fans would always come at me saying like, you're just mad because he sits at his computer all day long and makes a living. You have to report to your 9 to 5. Okay, checkmate. I don't have to do that anymore, everybody. I work from home now. So now you can probably expect more consistent uploads from me, even if they're just quick episodes. Just burning on something that I may have saw at a show the night before or something I may have seen on Twitter. You never know. I can just take a break from my regular job, step over here into my brand new office and whatnot and just record something. So be on the lookout. Maybe there'll just be more quick episodes you can just digest and listen to. I'm going to try to start getting into more video. Maybe just like some clips of the show or something like that, or GIFs I may find online from those Twitter accounts that put them out there. Like I'm going to try to put more stuff out. I really am going to try now that I got more time on my hands. Certain days it gets a little boring at home and I have to like force myself to go out or else I'll go crazy, outside of doing my regular full-time work. But I don't know, I'm getting better equipment. I'm going to start finding some voice acting gigs after I've graduated. I've already picked up work as setting up audio video in the city I am right now, learning the behind the scenes stuff. So when I start doing my announcer work and my hosting gigs and things like that, I understand how things work now. It's just, I'm blessed. I want you guys, as always, to come on the ride with me. And I think you're going to enjoy this, but it's going to be a matter of making sure I'm more consistent with you guys, but keep pushing me. If you haven't heard an episode in a while, I don't know, hit me up. Slam that button or something on Twitter, say something on Facebook or anything like that. Just let me know. Like I said, we're all in this together. Let's stay in this together. That carries over from season 1. That ain't never going to change. And that's as the buckle turns for this week, everybody. Season 1 is done. Welcome to season 2, episode 1. And always remember, I'll try my best to keep making sure I consistently drop that episode on Saturdays. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, like the page on Facebook. Make sure you log into iTunes if you guys are listening to it on Apple. Leave me some 5-star reviews. We really got to start getting this up. Like I said, it's still on all your favorite podcasting platforms. That's not going anywhere. Like those videos on YouTube. Slam that notification bell. Like I said, the algorithms keep changing. We got to make sure we keep the ATBT up top. Merchandise will be coming soon. I still promise. The branding will change just like the music has changed here if you haven't noticed. So until then, welcome back everybody. This is Adrian. As the buckle turns.